Welcome to DIYs with Sonja. My name is Sonja, and in today's episode I put together Christmas mega video for you full of Christmas DIYs under $5. If you like crafting, DIYs, dupes, thrift store flips, and furniture makeovers, I would love it if you considered subscribing. And if you like any of the projects I am sharing with you today, make sure you give them a thumbs up. Let's get right into it. These ornaments from Dollar Tree, so I picked up 3 of them, so that's $3.50, and I will be making these light up cloches with truck ornament. Now mine aren't going to light up, just simply because I couldn't find the little things to put in there to light up. But if you can, I'm sure there are some, if you can find some, that would be great. And as you can see, these were $19.50 for one, plus $15 for shipping. Now I'm pretty sure these were glass versus mine are plastic, and but I thought I could recreate this look and come pretty close to it with these ones that I picked up at Dollar Tree. So I am painting the lids with brown just to create that wood look. You could also just hot glue some cardboard piece, a round cardboard piece to the bottom of it. And if you are doing light up ones, I would recommend that you do the cardboard so that way you can cut out the switch on it, so that way you don't have to take the thing apart to turn the light on, because if you leave it on the whole time, the battery's not going to last your whole season. So I took the tops off, and I'm just going to hot glue pieces of rope around it. This will create that open look that the other one has. This Christmas is mine. The smell of fresh pine tree. I get down on my knee, ring in hand, and you almost choked on your mulled wine when I asked you to be mine. Now for the inside, I had picked up a bag of this snow. And then I also got some of the miniature Christmas village pieces. I got 3 packets, and I used 1 item out of each packet. I think that's what I did, yes. And then 1 or 2 items. And then I also picked up miniature Christmas trees from the same set. So altogether, I had spent... so I think I said $3.50, but I actually spent $4.50 for the ornaments, and then these packets I spent another $4.50, and then the trees and the snow another $3. So altogether I think that came up to $12. However, I did not use all of the supplies that I had bought, and I also made 3 of them versus 1. I do think that these guys came out pretty cute. I love how they look on my rustic Christmas tree, and I do think that I came pretty close aside from the lighting of the ornament. An angel choir singing. This next dupe was so super easy to make, and I think it looks really great, especially on your tier trays or a little tray, any tray or a shelf filler that you need. I am using these small frames that are 2 for $1.50 at Dollar Tree, and then I also picked up 2 of these plaster ornaments that you can paint from Dollar Tree, and they were 2 for $1.50, so my total was $3. Set of 2 at Pottery Barn was $1.83. Now these are bigger, I give them that, but I still think that mine look very much the same, they're just smaller. So I took these plasters ornaments, and I just cut off the hanging part, and then I also sanded it down just to round it up a little bit so it doesn't look rough where I cut it. I am leaving these the way they are with the wood. I am just flipping them around. I'm not even taking the white part off, where I sometimes take it off and I flip it and hot glue it. I'm just leaving them as they are, not staining them. And then I'm going to, once the ornaments are sanded down, I'm going to hot glue them to the frame. This was such a super easy DIY and inexpensive, and I think it has a high impact. I love the way they turned out, and like I said before, I think they came out pretty close for $4.50, and I could not be more happier. I could not spend $189 on 2 pieces of art anyways, no matter what size they are. You need some, I am using some of the drop cloth that I picked up at Dollarama, and the whole piece, I think it's 8 feet by 10 feet, is $4. And then I picked up these placemats from Dollar Tree for $1.50 each. So I'm gonna say the 2 of these pillows cost me $8.50, but I did not use all of the backing. The drop cloth, I only used maybe a quarter of it, and I'm going to be recreating this Christmas pillow. As you can see, was $45 for one. And I'm going to be making 2, and like I said, if I take into consideration the whole piece, costs me $8.50. Now you could also just purchase exactly the same piece or even a different one, so you can flip your pillows around. So I could have made 1 pillow out of these 2 and had 2 different looking pillows depending on how I feel each day, and flip the pillow around. Or you can buy the same ones and just glue the same ones together. Now I am going to be using a hot glue to make this pillow. You can sew if you know how. I don't. So I'm going to cut my piece of drop cloth to about 1 inch longer on 2 sides. Now the reason for this is because I am using the edges of this cloth that are already sewn in, so they're thicker. So the 2 edges are like that, and then the 2 edges aren't. So that way I can create with that little bit over material that thicker edge. So once I am double cutting it, so I'm cutting 2 pieces at once, and then I'm going to hot glue this to the pillow, but only hot gluing the 3 sides, leaving 1 open so I can stuff it before I close it up. You can also make these as pillowcases if you have pillows that will fit inside that case. I didn't, but I did have pillow stuffing, so I use that. So I go ahead and I hot glue the thicker edges of the drop cloth to the placemats, and just line them up perfectly on both sides. For the shorter side that is cut, I am folding it over and lining it up perfectly, and then I'm going to hot glue that in. I am snipping the edge of the corner off just so I have a more of a cleaner fold. Now before I hot glue it completely shut, I do stuff it with some pillow stuffing. Now I do the exact same thing on this side where I fold it, but this time I actually hot glued the fold together first. I was just worried that with the stuffing poking through and all this stuff, it was going to be harder to do it the other way, so I hot glued the fold first and then I hot glue it together. These pillows are so great, being that they are so inexpensive if you want to keep them on your front porch for decor. That way, in case your front porch gets snowed on and things like that, it's not too you don't feel too bad if they get ruined. I've never had a pillow get ruined on my front porch, and we do get quite a bit of snow here, but it's also not so bad if they get stolen for any reason. You don't feel bad that you spend $3 on a pillow versus $20-$30 that some of these pillows cost, or in this case $45. Did not go through the full tutorial on the second one, but I did make the second one as well.
Dressed in golden red, garlands and ribbon thread.
I just love the way these turned out, and I am determined to go get a couple more and create a couple more pillows. I just love pillows, and I think it is a great dupe. Doesn't look exactly the same, but the idea behind it is obviously the same, and I saved myself a ton of money.
Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside.
Channel. Today I will be creating a Dollar Tree Christmas DIY sign. This high-end Dollar Tree DIY is so cheap and easy to make. It cost me for both pieces about $2.50, but I only used less than half of the material to create it. And you can find these type of signs on Etsy shop for approximately $60 or so, give or take, depending on the size and what you want on it. I also want to mention that this video is part of Christina from DIY Mommy. It's a Christmas DIY and decor challenge. I will have Christina's channel linked down below, as well as the playlist, so you can make sure to check out both of those after you are finished watching my video. So I picked up this canvas, which is the largest canvas that the dollar store sells, and I like using these if you have watched my videos, and I love the frame that's inside of them. This time around I will not be using the canvas, so I take it apart and I will keep the canvas for another project. And if this is your first time stopping by my channel, welcome. My name is Sonja, and on my channel you will find thrift flips, trash to treasures, dollar store DIYs, and furniture makeovers. I also have a home and a cooking channel, which will all be linked down below. Then I go ahead and stain this frame with very thin wood stain and dark walnut. And I use a rag to stain it as usual. I have also picked up this blackboard from Dollar Tree. It is just a black foam board, and it's great if you're trying to create that blackboard chalkboard look. I traced the frame on top of the blackboard, and the blackboard will be my backing for this frame. Now for the next part, I was thinking about using a Cricut machine, but I thought it might be just easier for me to write it, but you can totally use a stencil or make a stencil on a Cricut machine, or just use the vinyl cutout from the Cricut machine. I'm using this white chalk marker to write my Merry Christmas out, and I'm just using a picture on my phone as a guide for my writing.
It's cold outside, but the fire keeps us warm. We can spend the night underneath the mistletoe, and I've gotten you a present that I put under the tree. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me. The snow is falling down and the storm is on its way, but as long as you're around, everything will be okay. 'Cause all I wanna do is spend this holiday with you. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for me and you. I've longed for this moment to have you for myself in a cabin out in no.
Now when I add the thickness to my letters, I always go to the parts of the letter that go down, and I make those thicker.
It's Christmas, the first for you and me. Another year went by, but the difference this time is that ever since July, I've been happier than I have ever been. It's safe to say that my love for you is true. Tomorrow it is Christmas. myself in a cabin out in nowhere, just us and no one else. I've decorated everything till we're perfect for this week. Tomorrow it is Christmas, the first for you and me.
Last thing that I do is I add some rope to the back so I can hang it up. I'm using hot glue, but you can also use staples. I didn't have good enough staples. I only had strong staples, and I was worried it was gonna split the frame. So make sure you have the correct staples for that.
The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the...
So here it is. I think it turned out so nice, and it looks amazing on my front porch, hanging on the light post, on the light.
In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling.
For this first DIY, I have picked up this pizza board sign from Dollarama, and I'm going to make it into a somewhat like a tray or a cutting board, and I'm going to give it a good 2 coats of paint. I am using Annie Sloan chalk paint. You could use acrylic paint, but I felt that the chalk paint was much thicker and it gave it a little bit better coverage. I would have probably had to do more than 2 coats with acrylic paint. So once the paint was on and fully dried, I used my Cricut, and in Cricut Design Space, in one of the suggestions or featured projects that they had was this Santa's cookie plate cutout, and I thought this would look really cute on this board, so I cut it out on top of brown vinyl, and I thought brown would look good because there's lots of cookies and hot chocolate and things like that, so I thought brown was a good color. However, this was the Recollections vinyl, and I wasn't all that impressed the way it wasn't really sticking very well, so I did struggle a little bit with transferring it, but I did manage to transfer it. I just don't think I will be using this vinyl again. I think I had more luck with the dollar store vinyl than this one. So once I had rubbed it, I peeled off the transfer tape. This is such an easy DIY to make, and if you don't have a Cricut machine, you can print this out and just Mod Podge it on, or if you're adventurous, you could also draw it on. It wasn't all that complicated. For my last DIY, but I picked these felt trees over at Dollarama. It was a package of 5, and I just added, it was very thick felt, but I wanted to add a little bit of snow to them, so I just took that brush from the previous project that had a little bit of white paint on it and just brushed the edges, and that gave it a little bit of a snowy effect. And as you saw previously, I just painted 3 Jenga blocks with the white, again very dry brushing it on with whatever was left on this brush. I never actually dipped the brush back into the paint. So once that was done, I proceeded to assembling the trees. I did a very similar DIY last year where I cut the trees out with my Cricut machine, and then I had stuffed them with just some pillow stuffing and then glued them together, and they turned out really cute, and I used them on my tier trays. Now these are going to be a little bit bigger, and I think I'm going to use them in my bedroom decor because I'm going with that cottage, rustic cottage look in my bedroom, and I think these will look really good. So I had some of these round sticks. One was long and then two were shorter, and I just hot glued them at different points to give them different heights. And once I hot glued these sticks on, I ended up hot gluing the trees onto the Jenga blocks. Now I did add a little bit of wood glue. I did not show this over the letters where it says Jenga, because these are actual Jenga blocks and they have engraved word into each side of them. And by adding a little bit of wood glue over top of it and smoothing it out, it covered up some of those letters. It didn't do 100% job, but it did a pretty good job. Now, when I'm hot gluing these, you want to be patient and hold them in place until they set, because otherwise they're just going to keep falling over. So this does take a minute for each, just so they set. So I repeat the same process for all three of them. I just love the way these turned out. I think they look so rustic and whimsical almost. For my next project, I'm using paint stir sticks that came from Dollarama. I think in US you can buy them at Dollar Tree as well. And then I'm using some Jenga blocks. Now these are actual Jenga blocks. I picked them up at Value Village, but you can definitely use the stacking blocks from the Dollar Tree or Dollarama. And I am creating a frame with them, and I'm using 8 of them, and I'm going to use hot glue to assemble the frame.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights. So you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, oh. La, da, da, da,
Once the frame was ready and set, I add some stain to it using the same stain in the same way with a rag. I just love the way this stain looks, and I think it's going to look great with this picture that I'm trying to recreate. So once I applied the stain on all the inside, the sides, and then the outside edges as well, because if it's a frame, you're going to be able to see it. Now, the only downfall with these Jenga blocks is that those Jenga words show, but you can't really see them unless you're kind of standing over top of the sign. But it was what I had on hand. The benefit of using the ones from the dollar stores, they don't have that. So once the frame was stained, I end up cutting my paint sticks, a stir stick. I'm kind of trying to create somewhat of a shiplap background look. So I'm just going to measure up one exactly where I want it to go, and then I'm going to use stack them together, and I'm going to use one of them just to draw a straight line across where I want them to be cut. And I'm just using metal shears um, to cut this because I find that they work pretty good with cutting almost anything. I also want to mention that if you're stopping by my channel for the very first time, I would love it if you considered subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. Over on this video, I do tons of DIYs from dollar store to trash to treasure to some furniture makeovers. So I would love to have you be part of my YouTube crafting community. And if you do decide to stay, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to know you a little bit better. Let me know where you're from and what you enjoyed in this video. So once these were all cut, I do sand the edges a little bit and trim them some more just to smooth them out. You probably don't have to go ahead through this process because the little wood pieces are going to be on the back and nobody's gonna really see them. I did cut one extra one just to make sure that I had enough, but I did not end up needing it. Now it's ready, and I'm going to paint them with that Christmas red paint, and I'm going to apply the paint with the paintbrush, making sure I cover it all, and then I'm going to wipe some of that paint off with a rag. I think this just gives it a rustic look. If you've been watching my DIYs lately, I do enjoy using this method. I just think it almost like deepens the project or makes it look old and aged. I don't know if you feel the same way, but that's how I feel that it makes it look. And then some of that wood grain, even though there isn't a lot on a paint stick, a stir stick, it does kind of show through as well, which I like.
Making our Christmas memories. Yes, these are the good times with you. What we do if I spend it with you. Just you and nobody else.
Once they were all nice and painted, I assembled the frame by hot gluing them to the back of it. And not sure if your paint stir sticks have a ruler on one side, so if they do, make sure you do the paint and all that stuff on the side that does not have the ruler markings. And now I'm taking this wooden snowflakes that I picked up at Dollar Tree, a package of them, and I'm just painting both sides white. And the reason why I painted both sides white is because it was hard to get into the little crevices, and painting the other side helped with that.
It's so good to see you again, to see you again. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you.
So once everything was dry, I just hot glued the snowflake in the middle, and I just think this is such an easy and cute DIY, and I can't wait to use it in my bedroom.
You and me, hanging by the fire chair. This is how it's supposed to be, making our Christmas memories. I've been longing to hold you close.
For this project, I also used my Cricut tool as well as my razor blade, and I cut. This was an egg shape from Easter, and I just went into Cricut Access and found a cutting board, sized it up, and cut it out. It did take several cuts to go through in order to do that. And then, speaking of Cricut Access, one of their featured images was this reindeer feet, which I thought was so cute. So I again saved it and sized it up and to fit the cutting board, and I'm going to transfer it on. This is a Dollar Tree red vinyl, and I do find that it works, it's just not as good as the Cricut vinyl or the Oracle. Is it Oracle vinyl that you can get at Michael's and at on Amazon? But this is the only red I had, and I really wanted to add the red to this white cutting board, and I wasn't wrong with the way the whole project ended up looking. And again, this is one that you can use for your tier tray, or you can use it as an ornament. Artist panels that I picked. I think this one came from Dollarama. Not sure if I got it at Dollar Tree. I'm not sure if the Dollar Tree actually carries them. But I just stained, again, using the same stain. And you can use whatever stain or paint you wish. I'm just using this one because I love it. And I stained the like the front of it as well as the inside of it. And then just a little bit on the edges as well. And don't worry about messing up the inside, because I will be gluing on some wrapping paper. I am going to be using the same wrapping paper that I used in my hot cocoa station, if you had watched that video, and I'm using tacky glue to add it on. So I'm just measuring out where to cut it approximately, because doing it this way I will be about 1/2 inch on each side longer. But then I just put it there and marked it off with a pen, just did little dots to know where to cut it, and once I cut it and fit it in, I just glued it on. Now I did cut out a image on my Cricut machine, and this is one of those images that is available on Cricut Access, so I do not know what font it is. I did try to look it up because I had a question in one of my previous videos what font I used. So I went ahead and looked at it, but it doesn't actually tell me what font it is because it's already pre-made project. You just size it up to fit your whatever your project you're doing. You can move items around as well, but I didn't. I just left it as is. Now I did make a mistake of adding this way too soon, because the tacky glue has not had a chance to dry. So when I went and tried to pull this off, it was ripping the paper off with it. So I proceeded on finishing this project just so I can show you, and I did redo the backing again by gluing on the wrapping paper and then waiting and cutting out another image. And the last project that I'm going to be sharing with you is very simple, no paint involved, you just need some glue. So I'm using this plaque that came from Dollar Tree, as well as this little square garland, and the Let It Snow came from your dollar store with more. And then I'm going to hot glue cut the garland in half. Well, I sized it to fit here, and then I just hot glued it to the back, and I wanted to leave some give to it so it kind of droops down a little bit. And then I used these little cutout pieces. I think these came from Dollarama, little snowmen. I know you can pick up snowflakes at Dollar Tree, I think. That would look great as well. And then I just had glued them so they look like they're hanging off the garland. And that's it. Project, you will need some form of gray paint. I am using any Sloan Paris gray. It's chalk paint. Then I had picked these up at Dollar Tree a while back, and they're just 3 little planters. Then you're gonna need some rope, some form of a rope, and white paint, a paintbrush, something for sponging white paint on, and hot glue. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint my pots with gray paint, and I'm going to let them dry. You could probably do this with some spray paint as well. It probably would be a little bit faster. One coat will be enough.
Can't forget about the one with the red nose. When I fly.
So the color on these bells dried a little bit lighter than what I originally would have liked. So I'm going to actually add some black and white acrylic paint. And the look that I'm going for is more of a forged metal look. So I'm going to dip in black and in white, and then I'm just going to go over it. I'm actually going to use my stenciling brush. It just might go a bit faster. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry and repeat the same process on these ones, on the other one. And you don't want them to look identical. And it's okay if some of the gray underneath shows. That's the whole point of painting it gray, not leaving it green.
This video is also part of Heidi Sombel's Friends Friday Hop. If you're not familiar with Heidi's channel, make sure you head on over to her channel. I will have it linked down below, so that way you can check out all the wonderful DIYs that she creates on her channel.
So I'm going to let those dry, and there's one more step to them. So I cut up 3 pieces of rope, and I'm going to hot glue each to the top. I'll let these dry. So here they are. I think they're gonna look great hung up on a corner of a mantle or on a corner of a banister, and very budget friendly. For my next project, you will need 22 clothespins that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and you want to take out the metal part, and it's quite easy to do. You just take some sort of pliers. I'm just using my wire cutters just because I have them on hand, and it comes apart. Then what the next part that you're gonna do is you will hot glue the 2 pieces kind of opposite to what they were, because as a clothespin they're this way, and you're flipping them and hot gluing them the opposite way. And you do this for all 22 of them. Okay, so now these are all ready. And now you're gonna take the pointy sides and gonna try and make a circle. There, and now we are going to glue them together. Thread this through. Now you could paint this any color you want. You could put glitter on it. I'm using it for my rustic tree that I have in my front foyer, which is very natural elements on it, and I'm not gonna do anything.
Sharing with you a Christmas DIY thrift store makeovers. I will be using some red and white paint, and I had picked up this piece of plaque for $1.99 at Value Village. I will also be using some cutout that I had cut out on my Cricut machine, and I had actually used a dollar store vinyl shelf liner, the white one. I thought I'd give it a try, and I used a fine tip blade and just a regular pressure, and it worked out really, really well. So the very first thing that I do is I'll paint the whole thing with a Christmas red acrylic paint. Once I was done painting it, I let it dry completely before I moved on to another step. And once it was dry, I took some white chalk paint that I had picked up at dollar store and just drew an outline on the edge of the plaque. I gave that a little time to dry, and while that was drying, I weeded out my writing, and I just wrote out Christmas with the Cricut machine. And then I also used the clear shelf liner from the dollar store to transfer it, and I have to say they both worked really well. Then I transferred it onto a plaque, and I just added a little bit more chalk paint to the edging. And here it is. I thought it turned out super cute, and it's one of those ones that I've seen people buy. I think there were some at Hobby Lobby and at Kirkland's, and we don't have any of those stores, so I thought I'd recreate one.
For this project, you will need different sizes of mason jars. You will need rope, some sort of berries. I am using this greenery. You can use any greenery you want. Then you need Spectra glitter, which is sparkling crystals. I will link it down below. I got it on Amazon. And then you need Epsom salt, and I am using tacky glue. So you need a brush, and then you need two different plates. One I'm going to use for glue, and one I'm going to use for my Epsom salt. So I'm going to mix up my Epsom salt, and you need approximately a cup to 1 tablespoon of the glitter. I'm going to put my glue over here. And you want to make sure that your jars are clean. And you want to do a good amount, but not to the point where it's dripping. And now I'm going to sprinkle some of this salt and crystals. You want to cover it, but you don't want to do too much of it. Going to let it dry. Now I'm gonna repeat it for the other two.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year,
So they're gonna dry now for 24 hours before I finish the project. So now that they had the chance to dry, I'm using some twine and I'm going to be tying it around the mouth of each jar.
in the visit, no, he wouldn't miss this.
Now the next step, I'm going to take apart that berry wreath that I had, and I'm going to attach the little leaf and berries onto the twine with hot glue.
Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends.
Now I'm gonna repeat the same process for the rest of them.
Doesn't matter, it's Christmas in my heart.
Here they are, all finished. I think they look stunning with the tea lights in them. You can buy the ones that are battery operated, so you don't have to worry about leaving them on. I am starting off with this Dollar Tree crate. I will be using a stain. You can also use acrylic paint if you don't wish to use the stain. This is the Veritane Ultimate Wood Stain in dark walnut. Then you're gonna need some white paint. I am using these stencils that I picked up last year from Dollar Tree, and I will be using these little stars, kind of makeshift snowflakes a little bit. And then I will be cutting an image out from Cricut, and I will also be using some bottle brush trees. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stain this with this stain. It's all on its almost last legs. Not much left, but there's still enough for today's projects. So I'm just going to rub that on. So this does not take very long to dry. I'm just going to go in the little crevices. I'm going to go try and do that with a brush, but we'll see how that works out, because I do not want it to be too dark. I think that's pretty good. And I'm just using angled brush. And you can always wipe off any extra. stain. There we go. Now I'm going to go and cut out my image on my Cricut machine. You can also just stencil something if you don't have a Cricut machine, or put a sticker, or just leave it as is.
For the design, I'm using Cricut Design Space, and I just choose a design that suits me. You also want to measure out your crate to know the size of the design that you're going to cut out, so that way it fits right in. I am using the white shelf liner from Dollar Tree just to give it a try, see how it works out, and I am using my Cricut Maker to cut the design out.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
So there you go. And I don't think I'm gonna use the little snowflakes because I do love it just the way it is, but I'm going to add just a little bit of Mod Podge in case, because of these hollow lines. I'm worried that it's gonna come and not gonna stick to very well, so I'm just going to, as an extra step, add a layer of Mod Podge on here. If you love Christmas DIYs and this, or any DIYs for that matter, and this is your first time stopping by my channel, make sure you head on over to my Christmas DIY playlist, where you will find tons of DIYs. I've been working on them since end of October, so there's a good selection of them in that playlist. Okay, so that's done now. And now for the inside, I have a couple of these bottle brush trees, and I'm just debating which size to use and how to use them. I think this will be perfect. And here's the crate. I absolutely love the way this crate turned out. The lettering looks really good against the stain, and I love the trees in it. For my next DIY, I picked up the 3 of these wooden Christmas trees, and I have cut up just some wood from my yard, from my garden to use. And you will also need hot glue for this. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to stain these. I'm not gonna use the base. And I'm going to use the same stain as I did for the crate.
I've been busy decking the halls. I've been kind to big and small, and now it's time to have a merry holiday. What a feeling.
These won't take long to dry because I'm not putting a heavy coat on them. I'm going for a very rustic farmhouse theme this year, using a lot of natural elements in my house and some of my rooms. And I think this will be a perfect addition to my decor. Okay, they're done. And now for these, I was considering doing a little dent in the wood so these little ends would sit better, but I'm worried about not having it straight enough and then my trees not being straight, so I decided just to go ahead with just hot glue. You could also use wood glue if you want it to be more of a permanent thing, but I'm just gonna go with a hot glue for now.
Are coming true, that's why I cheer. I've been busy decking the halls. I've been kind to big and small.
You're gonna have to hold these in place until the hot glue kind of dries.
When it's time for Christmas, let's sing a carol and we'll bring it here. Let's sing a carol and we'll bring it here.
Okay, one last step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with the brush and just do a bit of a stain just so it's not so white on here, so light. And I will go put the stain around the hot glue as well. Just so you know, when you're wiping, you'll wipe off the hot glue, so you might want to go a little bit over it after. Here are the trees. I think they turned out really cute and gonna look great in my decor. Be making a super fun project. I think it is anyways, using a stencil that I just cut out from Cricut. Now you don't, I always say you don't need to use a stencil. It definitely makes a project go a lot smoother, but I will link the website where I got the free SVG for this, and I just cut it up, resized it and cut it on an old file folder. That way if I want to reuse it for anything else, I can. It's just a little bit more I guess reusable than vinyl. Vinyl probably works better because it sticks to the surface, so you just have to be a little bit more careful with this one when you are stenciling. So I will take apart the stencil in a minute, but let me just go and let you know what else I'm using. So I have this wrapping paper that I picked up at Dollar Store, and it looks like butcher paper. And then I have some old toilet paper rolls and a paper towel roll, hot glue gun, black paint, and actually I'm thinking I might I'm gonna stick with black paint. I was thinking maybe doing Christmas trees in green, but I will do it with black paint just to stick to original plan, and just something to put your paint on, and a stenciling brush, a knife, crafting knife for your stencil if you need it, and scissors to cut the butcher paper if I need. Well, I definitely need to. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart my stencil. It's the project that inspired mine, and I'm trying to somewhat recreate it. And as you can see, the cost of this project is $62, and I just think that I can make it for a lot less, like pretty much $1, because I had everything else in hand, but definitely under $5. And I am just new to this Cricut machine, and I did watch a tutorial, but I always forget to link these up, so I always have to use a bit of a tape for that. Not a big deal.
We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling.
Now I'm going to cut my paper to size. And I'm just going to cut it and make it a little shorter so it's not as wide.
Hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling.
So I'm going to take my rolls now and I'm going to glue them just to keep form. I'm gonna use 2 here and then one whole one on top. To secure it so it doesn't unroll, I'm just going to put some hot glue there and there so that way it holds it in place. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom.
I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sun said it is just getting.
And now I'm going to place my stencil right in the middle. Just going to
On a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh.
and I'm just lightly taping it down. I'm not pressing on the tape because I don't want it to damage the paper.
It will always be Christmas in my heart.
Now careful with not too much paint. I'm going to sponge it on. And the stencil brush I'm using is from the Dollar Tree. Dip it and then take as much paint off as possible so I don't have too much paint on it.
Have a good time, dance, dance, all night long. We're gonna dance, dance, and have a good time. I think Santa's gonna come and join us in this song. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling, all the windows in the rain is falling.
Alright, and now for the reveal. Oh, I love it. I love it. Now I just have to fill in where the tape was.
Hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
Okay. So that's that. And now I'm going to I wanted to put an arrow here as well. If you see on the design there was an arrow, I just didn't cut it out because I figured I can probably do one myself.
We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Okay. There, and now once it dries, I'm going to add a rope, which I forgot to show you. I'm just gonna grab it. So this is like a nautical rope or jute rope. And I'm just going to cut it to size. And I'm also going to make this a little bit shorter. There. There we go. And the nice thing about having that little hole there is I can thread my rope through it.
We'll be chilling.
I'm going to take this long piece of wood and just push the rope through.
All the windows in the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year,
And tie a loop. And I'll show you what it looks all hung up. Looks like all hung up. So here it is, all hung up. I think it looks really, really good. And for very little cost comparing to what the other one cost at the store, I couldn't be more pleased. I went with something completely different with my project here. I went with a more of a boho style versus the farmhouse look that I've been doing all along. But when I saw this project on the Etsy shop, well, actually an item for sale on Etsy shop, I absolutely fell in love and had to recreate it. So I'm starting off with an artist panel, the wooden one, and I am doing absolutely nothing to it. You could stain it, you could paint it. I just love the natural look of it, so I'm sticking with that. And then I take the yarn and I wrap it around my arm until all of my full length of my fingers is covered. That's kind of my measurement. And then, so I'm kind of creating a bit of I guess you would call it a tassel, and you will need 15 of these. So I tie the top, creating a bit of a head on top, and then I cut the hooped part just so they're all hanging individually down, not hooped up. I hope that makes sense. So like I said, I repeat this project 15 times, this part 15 times. And once I am done, I pretty much almost used the whole yarn. You can see the piece that's left. I take a piece of just a little branch that I had, and then I kind of place where I want things to go. So at the bottom, I am putting 5, then I follow with 4, 3, and 1. This was very simple to make. However, it took some time to create those tassels, because you had to do it 15 times. If you went with a smaller artist panel, you can definitely cut the amount of tassels you need, hence the amount of time that it takes to make it.
making our Christmas memories. I've been wrapping presents for you. I've been hanging marbles in the tree. And I've lit my house with Christmas lights, so you should come back home to me. And when we wake up in the morning, I'm gonna play those carols that you love. We'll be singing.
Now I have, for the first one, already cut out this design. I had went on my Cricut design space, and out of my Cricut Access I had picked out the deer head. I flipped it so it's facing that way, and then I cut it out. This cardboard comes from the back of the one of those tabletop desktop calendars from my old one, and I have saved it. I was actually using it to spray paint some stuff on the other side, but it was time to use it for some crafting. So I had cut out the deer head. Now I'm going to use the deer head for a different project. And then I also have a back of an old picture frame, and I cut this cardboard to fit the back of the picture frame. So that's gonna go over here like that. But before, if you saw my projects last week, I have used some of this bag. I will be using it again, and I will be placing it at the on here with some hot glue and Mod Podge. And then for framing, I will be using some of these garden stakes that I got through the summer, and I have some of them left over still. I'm not going to be staining them, I'm going to use them as they are. First thing that I'm gonna do before I do anything is I'm going to give this guy a very light coat of white acrylic paint. I'm going to use a this type of brush, not a sponge brush, because I find it'll just give me the more of a texture that I'm looking for. And I'm just taking some of the paint off and just brushing it lightly. If you are stopping by my channel for the very first time, welcome. Like I said before, my name is Sonja, and on this channel I do DIY, budget-friendly DIYs, using mostly materials from dollar store. I do live in Canada, so a lot of the material will come from Dollarama as well as the Dollar Tree. Our Dollar Trees tend not to be as good as the US ones, but we still find some stuff that we can use for sure. And I also want to mention that if you want to see how I use these DIYs in my home decor, make sure you head on over to my home channel, which will be linked down below, where I share home decorating tips and ideas as well as cleaning. And besides those channels, I also have a cooking channel, and soon I will be sharing lots of different ideas for the upcoming holidays. So that's exactly how I wanted it to look. I wanted some of that cardboard to show through. So I'm going to let that dry. And while that's drying, I am going to take this bag. But first I'm just going to cut off some stuff off of it. And I will definitely be using that for more projects, because I don't like to do too much of wasting, especially when items are pretty hard to come by, like these bags. And it doesn't need to fit perfectly on there, because I'm gonna be taping the other stuff to the other side, covering it up. I'm actually not gonna use the Mod Podge. I'm just gonna go ahead with some hot glue. It should be okay. It shouldn't melt it, but I hope. If it does, then I'll have to move on to my other bag. It's actually pretty good. So that's pretty good. And now I'm going to cover it up with this on top.
Decorated in town, among all the tinsel and lights, I'm strolling around, just wondering where.
There we go. And now I'm going to measure out my little pieces and see where they will go. So I'm going to put this one here. Just gonna mark it off where it needs to be cut. and then I'm going to cut. So these two are gonna go on the top. Or on the bottom. Just the next ones are going to be shorter, and I'm just going to sand the edges a little bit. Or clean them up, I should say.
Strolling around, just wondering where you have gone to. Are you just around the corner or in Kathmandu? And whether or not you're with somebody new, still I wish you the merriest Christmas. I hope it will be.
There we go. For my next project, I had picked up a box from Dollarama, and this is a lid, and I am using this little gingerbread man that I had in my stash of just leftover crafts. I'm not quite sure where it came from. I do think it came from a craft kit from Dollarama, but I'm not quite sure of it. You can always buy these at Michael's or even a Dollar Tree, I think, or you can just cut one out yourself out of craft foam. And then I have a cutout, I don't know if you can see right here, I used my Cricut, and this image was from the Cricut Access, and I'm going to transfer it onto here. I don't think I'm going to use the whole image. I think I'm going to leave out the gingerbread and use that for a different project. I am going to be using the transfer tape from Dollar Tree to try it out. I have not tried this method yet. And then I'm going to use some of the white paint to paint everything on, and then some hot glue. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint the inside of this box with the acrylic paint.
You can trust that you'll be true. Yeah, I wish you the merriest Christmas.
I'm actually going to use a sponge paint for this one. I think it just does a bit better job for this particular DIY.
I built myself a new life from the ground up. A beautiful wife, 2 kids, and a dog pup. Still sometimes I wonder if you're near or off yonder, though I couldn't tell you why. But wherever.
Just a little crafting tip. If you end up using this and you have lack of space in your decor storage, you can do a different DIY on the back, like for a different season or something, and then you can kind of utilize the other side, which is perfectly fine and usable. Just a little pro tip, because I make a lot of DIYs, and sometimes it gets expensive to buy all the supplies, even if you're buying them from a dollar store. And it also takes up so much space in your house, so it's good to kind of make it a multi-purpose sign. So I'm going to let this dry, and then when it's dry, I'm going to finish it off. Okay, so while that's drying, I am going to get this all sorted out.
Near or afar, outside my door or in some airport bar, I still wish you the merriest Christmas. I hope it will be all that you dream. I have nothing but love for you. You can trust that to be true. Yeah, I wish you the merriest Christmas of all.
So I am going to place it right here.
Girl, I wish you the merriest Christmas. I hope it will be all that you dream. I have nothing but love for you.
So here it is. And now over here, I'm going to put my little gingerbread man. I'm just going to cut off these little things right there. There we go. For today's DIY, I'm using white chalk paint. I got this at a brand new dollar store that I have discovered. And I'm also using the other side of a wooden box that I picked up at Dollarama. I'm going to paint it on the inside, the top, the bottom, and the sides using a foam brush. And then I'm going to let this dry. I don't see a reason to painting the back because it's going to be leaned up against the back. And once it had a significant amount of time drying, so you want it to be fully dry, I take these tongue depressors or large popsicle sticks, and I make almost like a box out of them. I cut off the rounded parts on each side of one, and then I take another one and just cut sides that are long enough so it closes the box down, because I will be gluing the long popsicle stick at the front and then just the two on the side. So I want to cover both sides with that. So at the same dollar store, it's called My Dollar Store and More. It's kind of similar as Dollar General. I had picked up this old walnut stain, and I will be staining that with this. This is my first time using this, and I have to say I was quite impressed with the coverage and the quality of the stain. So once I paint both the front piece and the side pieces and let them dry. And while that's drying, I am going to cut out some vinyl piece on my Cricut machine. I'm fairly new to the Cricut world, so I'm learning as I go. And I had purchased this vinyl roll of it on Amazon. I will have it linked in my Amazon store. It is a little bit more shiny. I did not realize that they had matte as well, so I picked up the shiny one. Oops. Oh well, it will work for this project. And I am using a shelf liner, clear shelf liner, to transfer the image onto the box. I had picked up the clear shelf liner at Dollar Tree for $1.25. One thing that I have learned with using a Cricut machine is that every single process requires you to press real hard with this tool that I got in the set, because that is how you ensure that things are sticking and are not peeling off when you don't want them and sticking on when you want them to. Once I have it off, which takes me a little while, I wanted to be careful so none of the letters rip off. I place it carefully inside the box, making sure that it's positioned right, high enough, and that it's not too much to one side or the other. And then I use that tool again where I press like a mad woman. And voila, I absolutely love the way the reveal is. Like, it just makes me so happy when I see those letters on so well. And then I hot glue my makeshift box on. And then I use these bottle brush trees before I hot glue the sides, and I cut off the round part, the wooden part, and then I make them a little shorter, and then I glue the wooden part back on, just because the little ones were too short. These were like the medium size, were a touch too tall, so I just wanted to make them a touch shorter so that way they don't cover too much of the sign. And then I take them and I hot glue them inside the box, and then the last thing that I do is hot glue the sides to it. And I think this box turned out so cute. I absolutely loved the end result. For this DIY, I am using Dollar Tree Christmas cookie cutters, as well as acrylic paint in gray or silver, black and white, and then you will also need just some ribbon for hanging. So originally I was going to paint my cookie cutters with the silver. I did intend to buy gray, but I ended up buying silver, which is more metallic. But the paint really wasn't going on the way I wanted it to. So I have decided to move on and go get my black spray paint and spray paint them black as a base coat. Let that completely dry, and then dab the other paints on it. The look that I'm going for is a galvanized look. I absolutely love galvanized look anytime, but especially during Christmas time. And I have created several different pieces already when it comes to the galvanized look. I did the last Friend Friday hop, and like the very first one I participated in, I created bells. So I took that technique and applied it to these cookie cutters, and let me tell you, I am over the moon happy how these turned out. They look nothing like what they started off. They look high-end, and they look amazing on my rustic woodsy Christmas tree that's in my front hallway. So as you can see, I am just layering the paint on. After the black dried, I went with white, then I went over with black, and then I over it with silver, and then I still wasn't quite happy with the result, so I ended up mixing the black and silver, creating a more lighter gray, and I went in with that, and all those three paints mixed together just created this beautiful galvanized look. And I finished the look off with some ribbon, and here they are. This project is a little bit easier. I am just going to hot glue this material around the Christmas tree and use some nautical rope to accent the tree. The material I had left over from a different project, the little tree form came from Dollar Tree, and nautical rope is still the same rope that I had left over from different projects. So I just cut slits and then wrapped the material around the edges.
So we're both city that Christmas now. I need more of. I remember making all the gifts, cutting out birds of paper and pretending they would live.
Once I was finished wrapping the nautical rope around the tree, I cut little pieces off and in the same size, and then I just had glued those pieces to the bottom, and then I also outlined the star with the nautical rope. Now for the star, I take the nautical rope and I separate all the threads so that it's a lot thinner, and I wrap that around the star. And here it is, all finished. I think it looks so cute. All the tinsel needs to come off all the trees, so I will be doing this for every single one of them. But this very first one I was cutting down in half because I wanted the tree to be a bit shorter. However, I will be saving this other part that I'm cutting off for the last DIY project. And then you want to use assortment of ribbons. I used this cork faux cork ribbon. Instead of burlap, I was going to cut my white burlap ribbon into strips, but then decided to use the cork one instead. And then you cut them to about 1 inch to 2 inches, depending on the size of your tree. And then you fold them in half and hot glue them at the cut parts, so you have a solid fold. And then you hot glue those onto the tree. I did overlap them a little bit on the sides. I just thought that would look nicer. And then and there is no rhyme and reason for the pattern that I went with, like the order of the ribbons. I just went with what I thought would look good. You could use solid ribbon for that, like solid color ribbon, or any kind of ribbon you really have on hand that's kind of Christmassy if you're going with a Christmas theme. I think you could even make this as a Halloween tree if you had or a fall tree if you had the fall ribbon. This can be done for really any season. And then once I was finished following the pattern on the bottom and hot gluing the whole tree, I went ahead and did this for the top for the whole tree. But the next row, when you start, you want it to hang to overlap the bottom row a little bit, so you don't see where the bottom row ends, kind of thing. I hope that makes sense, but I think you can see what I'm doing here on the video.
Making our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday. It's a chance to start over new, 'cause I missed you, so I'm letting go of everything but you.
So you can really see the overlap. It kind of fans out a little bit, and that is the look that I was going for. And at the top here, this was a little bit hard, and this whole project was a little bit tough on my fingers. I don't know what I did with the little rubber ends for my fingers so I don't get burned. but I did get burned a couple times here. But when you get to the top, you want to pinch it together at the top. Now, this doesn't look the nicest when you reach the top, so I took a little piece of a rope that I had just left over from one of the other projects and wrapped it around the top. I really like the way this looked. You could also add like a star at the top or anything really at the top that would kind of cover up that little pinch at the top.
These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about it.
I just think this tree turned out so cute, and I can't wait to use it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this mega video, and I hope you guys got some decorating DIY ideas that are super budget friendly and I think add the whimsical touches to your decor. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and make sure to give it the thumbs up if you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.